go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It is markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Thursday, December 7th, 2023. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, the altcoin market. We'll look at XRP. We'll look at several altcoins and altcoin market caps as we get ready for the stock market to open up here in the next 4 minutes. So we'll peek over there at the stock market to see how our day is going to be starting off over there. Of course, at the same time, we'll peek at other things that matter as these markets open, such as metals, along with the US dollar currency index. And then we'll conclude everything with going through any type of financial news that is important and any type of crypto news that seems to be important. Then, of course, I hang out with you guys in the chat and chat with you guys for about a half an hour to wrap it all up. So let's go ahead and dive into what's going on in the markets today. Mixed over here in the cryptocurrency market. You have the total 2 up 0.43%. That's the altcoin market. Total 3, when we remove Ethereum out of there, it's up 0.13%. You can see half is in the green, half is in the red. You got Bitcoin at 43,387. So down a little bit less than a percent, about $377 today. Hanging out there, still up near those highs that it's been at all, this wild couple of weeks that we've had over here in Bitcoin as prices have shot up, and excitement and Bitcoin to $500,000 narratives have been coming out on Bloomberg. But yep, so we're still sitting up there now, $43,400 as we're 3 minutes away from the market's opening. Still just continuing along as we've talked about. There won't be a whole lot of changes to talk about in the actual markets today, but we'll have things to kind of look forward to till next week that can historically lead to some volatility in markets. But as you can see, still the grind up, all is well in the universe. I don't know what this is. There we go. This is the thing, of course, we've been talking about there with the altcoin market waiting. This was our moment in 2020. It was the break of that. And then it was like 3 to 4 days later, that is when the altcoin market actually went kaboom. So we are all sitting patiently waiting for that. Of course, we have noticed already that total 2, the altcoin market, including all altcoins, everything excluding Bitcoin, the market cap here, did leave that sign of strength range that it had been stuck in there for a month. We see that also over there on total 3 beginning to march its way out. And we see it over there on others as well. So total 3, I should have explained that. Total 3 is going to be the entire altcoin market excluding Ethereum, and others is going to be the entire altcoin market excluding the top 10. So we're going to be getting rid of Ethereum in there. You're going to be getting rid of XRP, but you're also going to be getting rid of stable coins like USDT and USDC in here. So it's everything excluding the top 10. We can see that little break has begun there as well for others. And so we're seeing that on all of them just when we should be. So good to see that happening. When this thing played out last time, we don't know if it's going to do the same thing. We're all sure, of course, crossing our fingers that it will. It did take about 3 to 4 days later before the market to boom pop out, but we are already seeing these things start to get out of here. I guess we're all just kind of waiting for some real momentum to set in there for the altcoin market as we sit here just as we did in 2020. So off to a good start, today, mixed, but still everything's fine. Not a whole lot to say that has changed here. Yeah, a little bit of a pullback in Bitcoin, but that's just kind of what happens, right? It's straight up. You're going to see pullbacks, right? And, I think eventually we'll see bigger pullbacks, but this doesn't seem to be of anything of significance to me yet, at least. Moving over to Ethereum, even Ethereum, of course, the sign of strength phase happening in there. That sign of strength was escaped from here in these last few days. So you got that going on over there. XRP, of course, just waddling in the dumb money zone, right? We talked about this. That's not a term I have come up with. That is the name of this range. When we sit between the 618 retracement, we sit between the 236 retracement level in a range. These ranges by design are chaotic, and what you'll see is emotions of retail investors just go all over the place, and we've already witnessed it. We saw them go nuts here just a couple of days ago, and then we saw a little bit of a switcheroo happen right in there, trying to make sense of the Price action that happens in the middle of this range, which I've said over and over again, we could do loop-de-loops. We can go up to the top, we can come down to the bottom, and go all over in between. Literally, there's nothing to read from that range, unless if we got to the bottom side of this range, right down in here, or if we got up into these areas. Everything here in between, this is all noise. And you can cheer for it and say, oh, we're going to the moon. Wait a minute. No, we're not. Wait, we're going to the moon. No, we're not. So we would like to see at least get to a range boundary. So if you got to this range boundary, we could at least say, all right, this is a level that should hold to get ourselves shooting our way up out of here. Or if we get to the top here, then we at least have this. But as we sit here in each move that we have in here, these don't mean anything. This is the middle of a range. It's the dumb money zone. You hate to hear that if you're trying to make sense out of it, but essentially what people are trying to do is they're trying to find a trend happening, and you are not going to have a trend in here. You are going to have chaos. So we still wait patiently on XRP to dish out something. We know XRP has gotten as high as Bitcoin, right? It's gotten over here to the April of 2022 levels. So still waiting for us to get a sign to be able to shoot our way up in here. If this was like in 2017, when XRP did go firing off to the upside, it did find support here on top of this range first, right? So it's been a year and a half in this range. It did find support here on this range first before things get going. Will it do that? We'll find out. It's the middle of a range, just waiting for something to emerge from it. One thing I have kept my eye on, first of all, I own Monero. I'm not even saying go buy this because you just don't know, and you can't even get this on. They don't even sell this on Coinbase. But the only reason I'm bringing it up is one thing I have been watching here is Monero's been like stuck in this range for like a year, almost entirely a year, and at this point right now, like waiting for some confluence to emerge from right here, right? So this is at the top of its entire range. It sits at the 786 retracement, and it has spent a month trying to break through here. So some confluence, and like even this, like don't go run and buy Monero, right? Because like even if this thing gets out of here, then this new range boundary is not too much higher. It's just there, right? And that's not percentage-wise, that's not a whole lot. We see a lot of other altcoins going up a whole lot more than that. But to see it like escape that range would be some confluence of moving on, right? This market finally being able to move on. And so I wanted to show that to you, that this is something I have watched very closely, and it's just been kind of fingernail biting, like, hey, give me some confluence on this market. Get out of here. And boy, it's really fighting. That's a whole year. That's an ABC. But if this can crack through here, then it becomes more, right? So everything in the middle of these areas, this is all dumb money zone. But now at the very peak of this thing, at the top of this retracement level, this is where a break could happen. So that's what I'm looking for. And that would likely, it makes me also like have like these thoughts that all this stuff we're looking at of being like, hey, like this thing is ready for a bigger move. This is ready for a bigger move. Like there's just wide open space in here for a big move to actually happen in here. You even see that on some assets too. That's the only reason I'm showing you this. Don't run and buy this thing. I own it. I own some of it, but don't run and buy it. If you don't believe, if you think Bitcoin's the only way and that privacy doesn't matter and you're totally cool with your neighbors and criminals and everybody else being able to see your balance, including the U.S. government, which you whine and complain about them looking at you doing $600 transactions and privacy doesn't matter to you, but you scream on the internet that it does matter to you, don't go run and buy Monero, just stick with your Bitcoins. But, if we could break out of here, that would have some confluence to other things that we're seeing happening in here, because that's a year-long range as well for Monero. So hopefully, I'm keeping my eyes on that too. It's totally stuck. As for the stock market opens in the green today. You got the Dow Jones up 24 points. You got the S&P up 23 points. You got the NASDAQ up 152. So a good day for the NASDAQ, up almost 1% for the NASDAQ, about 0.5% for the S&P, and the Dow just slightly in the green, 0.09%. Winners of the day so far: Google, Nvidia, Amazon. Losers of the morning so far: Coinbase, United Health, and ARK. Coinbase doing a little bit better now that the markets have opened than it was in pre-market. It was down about 1.88%, now down only about 0.58%. So hopefully things can turn around as we get the morning kicked off and we just flip into some more green happening over here. Looking over at metal, first of all, we'll go to the DXY before we get to metals. So DXY, boom, losing that strength, just exactly as we were thinking, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rolls back up to wave 4. And there you have it. Boom, rejection right off of there. You also see that happening over here on some of these strength indicators like the stochastic RSI. You can see that the stochastic RSI begins its march up, holds all of its levels of strength up in here, starts right from the very bottom, whoop, and then boom, it now has lost it all, totally into kerplunk zone over here. So I do think this will now go back down to the lows again. So very good for DXY, which means likely we're probably going to see some more stuff happening over here in metals again. We'll see if metals end up having enough juice to go do anything big, or if they just kind of stay a little bit range bound. But as we kick off the morning, you got gold sitting over here at $2,033, so it's up $7. But you have silver in the red. You got silver down to $23.86. Silver has taken a whooping over here ever since that DXY reversal took place right there. So silver has just gone from 25.90 all the way to 23.86. And thanks a lot, silver, for making it like impossible for me to like load up on you during Black Friday and during Cyber Week, as this stuff soared into Cyber Week. And then now here we are back to where we were pre-Cyber Week. Dang it. So on the shopping sprees, but the deals just aren't quite as good. I think it's almost like the prices never changed. Like the prices in Cyber Week were the same as they were back here, and then now the prices here are like the same that they were in Cyber Week, and the same here. It's like no matter what you're kind of having, if you're a precious metal, physical precious metal stacker, definitely been a challenge over there. But either way, there you go. DXY, I believe that was the peak of that move there for the DXY. It was the expectation. I think it'll now go back down to the lows. We'll see how markets, we'll see how metals all react to that. We'll wait a little bit longer for the NDXT to open up, which is the NASDAQ 100 Technology Sector Index. So we'll wait for that to open to get an idea on how tech is doing this morning. But we can see over here pretty good. You got Google up 5%, right? Meta up 1.5%, Nvidia up 1.13%. Not bad. Coinbase improving even more now, down only 0.39% as the day gets kicked off for the United States stock market. Yields mixed. Looks like long duration yields are up a little bit. Not dramatic like we have seen, but a little bit. And then mixed over here to short to medium term duration. Relatively flat, slightly down on ones and twos and threes, flat to slightly down. I don't know if I'd read too much into it. But what we do have next week is we do end up having the Federal Reserve interest rate hike meeting. So the FOMC, the current percentages are a 97.3% probability that the Fed will be paused next Wednesday, 2.7% chance that they will raise. This thing bounces back and forth like crazy. Just on Monday, this thing was at like 99% chance of a pause with a 1% chance of an actual cut. It bounces around all the time. That is in 6 days and 4 hours from right now. We do live stream that here on the YouTube channel. So we put on the Dow Jones Industrial Average chart. We should put on the Bitcoin chart. And then down over here in this corner, I have Jerome Powell's beautiful face and all of his hard swallowing going on as he delivers a speech, and that we watch to see what Bitcoin and what the Dow Jones do during those speeches. So we pretty much catch the interest rate decision, and then we catch Jerome Powell's speech, and then I say goodbye. Have a nice afternoon. But as we lead up to that, the day prior to that, we will get CPI. So we'll just talk about that for just a second. Inflation, I know we all get sick of hearing about it, but either way, the year-over-year inflation rate right now is 3.2%. So we've pretty much stalled out. That's what we did expect, really, for the second half of the year after the big fall took place during the course of the first half of 2023. And why would that stall out happen where we wouldn't be able to like really break through that 3% level? And it's just because of all the really big month over month readings that were falling off of the year over year calculations. So what we would need, right? So right now CPI sits at 3.2. I do not know what the forecast is because the forecast hasn't come out yet. We'll address that when it does. The forecast will likely come out, I'm going to guess Monday, maybe tomorrow. I don't really know when those forecasts come out. I should probably do a better job researching that when they finally make the forecast. But my guess is it's going to come out on Monday, is when they'll have the forecast of what month over month and year over year CPI will be for the month of November. And if we end up getting a negative 0.1%, so last month we got a 0.0% inflation rate. If we end up getting a negative 0.1%, the CPI would actually be 2.9. So we'd actually be in the twos. So if we end up getting a 0.0 like we did last month, CPI will fall to 3.0% flat. But if we actually end up getting a negative number, we would actually fall into the twos for the first time. And that would probably create headlines. That would probably create hype, euphoria. Whoop, we did it. The Fed, soft landing. Let's cut. Let's go. all that narrative building that would happen in there. So anyway, a negative number. And so what we'll keep our eyes on is CPI coming out next Tuesday. And then next Wednesday is where we'll get the FOMC, which is the interest rate decision. This is going to be this. They have done exactly what the market prices in every time. They've never surprised the market in this hiking cycle or pausing cycle. They haven't done anything different than what the market is already priced in. So my expectations are just always going to be with what the consensus of the market is and what the market is pricing in. So it's not so much that what the decision is going to be the thing that impacts markets. It's likely going to be exactly what the market expects. But what the market is curious of is how long will we stay paused? The market's already pricing in cuts. You go out to March, it's already got an over 60% probability that the interest rates are being cut by March. We go out to May, it's already got it priced at just under 90% probability that we're already cutting by May. Let's go to June. Go to June. 97.4% probability that we're already cutting by June. So market's a little confident. We'll see what Jerome Powell has to say about that. But as for next Wednesday, 97.4% probability that we continue being in the pause period of a cycle, right? So hiking cycle, pause period, then comes the cutting cycle. But we're in pause. Pause historically for the last 23 years has been a good time for crypto, a good time for markets in general, equity markets. And considering that crypto is very tied to the equity market, great to, we can say crypto too, I guess. But historically, a cutting cycle is very, very poor for equity markets and for the crypto market. But however, what becomes controversial is that first cut, that first and second cut. You could see a little bit of euphoria. You could see people say this time is different. And that's what will happen, right? Soft landing. This time is different. It's a soft landing. We're good. But to just remember, like the first cut can sometimes lead to a little bit of euphoria, a little bit of excitement, but then S hits the fan really, really bad after that. And that's what has happened in each of the last three for the last 20 something years. So long as we're in the pause, let's go. So we can always cheer for pauses. Those historically are okay. It's the cutting where we start to say, all right, our clock is ticking, guys. Our time is ticking. Our time is running out. All right, there you go. There you have it. Bitcoin, 43,395. We've seen these altcoins getting their breakouts of their SOSs, their save our ships. Sign of strengths. I saw somebody say that in the chat. What is SOS? That's not good. Total 2 getting breakout of the sign of the strength. Total 3 getting it. Others getting it. And just waiting to see if things like it gives a little bit more confluence on some of these alts to get through those last retracement levels to give us more juice and some more confluence to happen in there. I think we're just waiting for a big fat break. It's just what it is. It's creeping up. We all know it's creeping up. We can look at various altcoins. They've creeped above those highs of the last month. But I think we're all waiting for that bigger break to actually happen. And hopefully that comes today, tomorrow, or through the weekend. I have started to kind of assess what my holiday schedule will look like. We do celebrate Christmas in my household and in my family, and I'm just trying to kind of figure it out. It's likely that it'll impact probably 3 or 4 markets in the mornings surrounding Christmas. So just so you guys are aware, I'm just kind of laying that out there to kind of expect, there will be a little bit of time taken off at Christmas time. All right, there you go. Stock market, Dow Jones up 9 points, S&P up 22 points, NASDAQ up 141. A little bit of shift happening now that markets are setting in. Coinbase back to that negative 1.49% with ARK and Tesla down at the bottom. Google, Meta, and Amazon sitting up there at the top. Altcoins, stock and crypto market, total 2 is up 0.35%. Total 3 is flat. There you go. Now, back and forth on flat. So we have half in the green, half in the red, and a flat market that's just indecisive here this morning as Bitcoin pulls back from its 44,000 to its 43,375. And that seems to be what we're looking at this morning as we wait for a bigger break to happen over there in the altcoin market. And to give you a reference point of when we had a similar behavior like this to 2020, I've done videos about this week. We've talked about this in Markets in the Morning. It took about 4 days afterwards for things to really kick off. I don't know if it's going to take 4 days. There's some dingus on the internet who's going to say, you said it would take 4 days. I'm showing you what it took last time. It took 4 days. If it does end up doing that, hey, rock and roll, but just kind of give you a reference point. So today this is day 2. So we'll see if we can match something like that and get a bigger break to happen over there in the market. And fingers crossed that we do. Otherwise, I think that kind of wraps it up there for the charts. You see the DXY. It got that rejection at the level that we were looking at, right? For those who do crashing structures, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back to wave 4 within wave 5 for 6, 7, right? But as you can see in here, that can be 5, 6, then 7, which means you could be like that. So don't be thinking straight line. But my thoughts are that at least the next move here for the DXY is back down to the lows, and we do see that over here in strength indicators as it is falling off here on the 4-hour time frame. That was the start of it right here at the lows. You can see the stochastic RSI shoots straight to the moon up here, hovers and holds its strength in bullish territory for stochastic. Then boom, it loses it all right in here, just right exactly where it should have. So there you go. And hopefully that gives us some positive momentum for the remainder of the year. Otherwise, as for metals, as for silver is on the struggle bus, whereas gold is still kind of holding flat this morning. Platinum crushing it. What is up with platinum? It's up $25 today, up 2.88%, killing it. It looks like the Dow is trying to flip over there into the negative, up 1.94 points, but the DXY 103.87. Oil, let's look at this. Look at this thing. All the way back down to the lows. Man, don't you love oil fear mongers? Let's look at gasoline, guys. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Did it set a new low? It did. Yesterday. The gasoline set a new low dating back to December of 2021. So it still sits here, right, for all the head and shoulders levers out there. Doomtown for gasoline, which is great for everybody, right? For most people. I'm sure you're already seeing that at the pump. For I know for sure you are, or else you're just blind, because I see it at our pumps. For sure, gasoline is way down. It's into like historical norm prices. Like these are the gasoline prices we were used to paying from 2014 through 2020. Right? This is exactly what we're used to paying all throughout here. About, it's regional, right? So it depends on what region you are. But it's getting down into historical norm prices now, but we're all used to it. This is like, I remember when this was all happening, but you all remember that, like back in 2004 and 2005 and 2006, like just where you were in your life. Like we're all used to like paying $1 or $2 for gas, like $1.50 or something like that for gasoline. And then that's the first time we're all paying like $2.50, $3 for a gallon of gasoline back in like 2004 or 2005. And then that's just become the norm. And then like there's like an occasional time we're down in like the mid to low ones, like mid ones. There's like, it's like happened here. Maybe it happened like right here and like here. But otherwise it's like, whatever, this is 202, but that means it depends on your region. You're going to be paying like $2.50, $3.50. And if you live in like California or something, you're probably paying $17, which is probably down from like your 22 that you were paying or something. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, there you go. Gasoline getting hammered. Congratulations to everybody who drives a gasoline guzzler. I do. I'm not hopping on the EV train. Sorry. I'm not doing it. not charging my vehicle. I'm not going to get stranded anywhere. Sorry. All right, move on. There you go. $43,400 over there for Bitcoin. The PCP, save the planet. All right, there you go. 22.57 for Ethereum. Total 2 still slightly in the green. About 0.5% in the green, and total 3 over there in the green. There you go. So, all right, I think that covers it. Before I get to be too much of a jerk, I think that kind of covers it. Bitcoin's still just in its march up. Today's a 350 point to the downside day. You have the altcoin market still continuing on that sign of strength, waiting for the bigger break to end up coming, but it looks like we have already left the ranges on all of these things. So looking good over here, and of course you see that on Ethereum as well. So waiting to see, like, for some confluences to happen on some individual altcoins that have definitely been stuck in these ranges for a long time, and they are back at Fibonacci retracement levels, waiting for something to happen in there. Here, I'll set an alarm, and if anything happens while we're live streaming, we can say, oh my goodness. But there you go. Otherwise, fine day out here, mixed day, bouncing back and forth over there on Wall Street. I think this week will be okay. Next week, prepare. That's where, like, we all know that, like, this CPI and FOMC, there's always, volatility, and it goes both ways. So we'll see how next week goes. But of course, we'll live stream on Wednesday, Frog Day. We'll live stream the FOMC meeting and Jerome Powell, and we'll have a good time doing it. So, all right. Hey, Coinbase flipping back into the green. So weird morning over there in the stock market. Coinbase, it was negative 1.8 in pre-market. Got almost all the way back to even, then back down to almost negative 2%. Now it's over here in the positive, so we can move you up, and now you're in the green. Losers of the morning are Microsoft, Tesla, and GE. And stocks over there, Dow still just bouncing back and forth. It's up 14 points. S&P's up 20. NASDAQ's up 110. So still some volatility here as the morning has kicked off. And we do have the NDXT that is open now. It's up 0.79%. So the NDXT, of course, is battling up against the last retracement level. But typically these types of structures, these are what are happening in distribution. And so this is your typical distribution structure. And this is like the same thing we saw over there for the tops of Bitcoin and the tops of Ethereum back in 2021. You can imagine, like, this was the first peak that came there in April and in May of 2021. Here's all your Elon Musk craziness, right? Falls down, just admit it's a bear market. We're never going back up. Same thing happened in stocks here, right? This is the most Googled recession of all of history. Go look at it, like the entire retail crowd believing this is a recession down in here, but then it works its way back up, wrong footing everybody. Now everybody's going to do the same thing they did with Bitcoin. They're flipping into saying this is now a new bull market, but this is actually distribution. This is actually like the perfect exact style for distribution, which also does mean typically these things will keep going. And then S will completely fall apart. So, but this should be exciting. This should be everybody saying this time is different. This is where people are YOLO buying and things are really pumping, and just a really great, fantastic time. But the people who do get caught into this time is different. The Fed and the people will don't be fooled. They will. They'll get fooled into it. This time is different. The soft landing is going to happen. Everything is great and gravy and wonderful. But BCB, do you think it's very possible that we're going to not get rejected at the 4.236 extension for the Dow Jones and for the NASDAQ? Do you think it's possible we don't, and the Fed does pull it off? I don't need the narrative. I don't need it. That's going to be the absolute panic point for me up in here. So until then, it should be an exciting ride. And so 2 steps ahead, right? Always being 2 steps ahead. Those are the same thoughts with stuff like this, like with these altcoin markets. Like, the place where I'm 2 steps ahead here, just to kind of give you an idea. And of course, when things change, that's when I have to change too. But current thought, if we're only 1 step ahead, current thought is up to here, right? If we're 2 steps ahead, the next step on my thoughts are back to here. So what would happen in here? Euphoria, excitement, thrilling. Holy cow, this is amazing. This time is different. We're so exciting. Boom, the market takes it all back. And this won't be small. This would be huge. So we'd see like lots of stuff go up 200, 300%. Some stuff just garbage, only up 50, 40%, right? You'd see a big mix, right? But you'd see some stuff just crushing it, and you'd see some stuff really, really struggling. And that'd be a good point to watch and say, hey, who kind of sucks right now? Like who's not showing any interest in keeping that in mind for when things pull back again later, right? Like don't be getting back into those, right? But that, and then in the ultimate bull scenario, it goes higher from there. And I don't think we'll cross $1 trillion for others, but that would be the ultimate bull scenario. But what it would also include, and to be prepared for it, would be something of absolute devastation. And this type of a correction, this would be a 56 to 60% correction, and that's going to vary between different altcoins. Some stuff would only see 40%, some stuff would be 60, some would be 80. It'd be just devastating at that point. And what would happen is like everybody would be buying up in here, believing this time is different, and then boom, it just crushes them. So I think this would be an FTX style event, or not that there would be the narrative quite attached to it. I don't think there would be the narrative attached to it, but the damage and liquidations that would happen, the amount of leverage that would get entered into the system here, and the crush that would happen to the market in a circumstance like that, just being prepared for that. And that's nothing unusual. Those types of things do happen along the way. We see those all the time. And that's just my current thoughts right now on like bull scenarios. And so why would this level also be pretty interesting to pay attention to? Why do I have an arrow pointed over there saying, yeah, that's the area? This is fun. This is a good time. You're ready for a really good time? You ready to see some magic? What are the chances of that? What are the chances? What are the chances that out of all the ways up, like you have of your resistance levels that you have in here, you have this resistance, which obviously we stalled at. Then your next one up is that one. And it sits at the 702 retracement. Like the whole thing was absolutely stunning. To see that confluence of that whole thing. So if you think that isn't the bottom, you think this thing is going lower from here, you think this thing is just going to, like the very few people who, bless your soul, are still screaming for 12K. It seems very unlikely. You have the perfect fibs, right? We've done crashing structures on this thing. We've done everything. And you have the perfect 702 resistance level happening right in there. So in a crashing structure, what do we typically do? We typically shoot back up into retracement levels. Then we do pull back down to supports. And then you can actually march up higher than that. And that would be, if this thing goes mega bull, that's the only scenario I can come up with. The Moon boys are going to tell you that. I'm not going to draw any lines. I'm just going to point to Moon and say that's where we go right now, because that's what when you're in an uptrend, that's what buyers who are buying into the uptrend want to hear. I'm buying right now. I'm totally safe and protected. I'm going to go straight to the upside. There's going to be big corrections along the way. Do not be fooled otherwise. Do not be fooled by any of the narratives out there, and be mindful when people are getting euphoric. I've seen a lot of euphoria here in this past week on Bitcoin, but be mindful of this, and it will be crazy. So like the way to think about it is that people get just as crazy in the euphoria as they get crazy at the bottom. So their emotions become so crazy at the lows that they all herd together and have the same belief. And then the same thing happens up higher. They all herd together and they have the exact same belief. And if you tell them otherwise, they become very aggressive. The herd itself gets very aggressive if you tell them they're going to lose money. They don't like that. They don't like to hear that they're going to have to buy higher after they've sold the lows either. But they will also, the same thing also happens in here. Either way, point is, if I can imagine the most bullish of scenarios for this market, it is something along the lines of this. And this is an area where I will take precautions and take seek some safety for a minute to ride that out, and also to observe the stock market and how it's doing in there too. And you think, oh, how could this, how could something like that happen, right? One way to think about it is just how the tops did look for Bitcoin and how the tops did look for Ethereum. And we talked a lot about it during that time, and I've made videos. Remember the video I've made you watch 3 times now? That it was something like this, right? And that could be the case, right? That, we exceed the high here. This pull down right in here is what does force that, right? And it forces that liquidation. And then it is that extension, that one more extension that we see as we witnessed for Bitcoin, right? Like if it's an event like this in the stock market, because we still haven't taken out the highs yet, right? We've witnessed this stuff all happening here on the NDXT, where we do go back and hit those levels. But how would you have something like that happen in the stock market or happen here in crypto? And I would have to imagine it being very similar to that, where that's like the big sell that happens, just like we saw happen over there on Bitcoin, and a topping structure very similar to that. So, yeah. But 60% corrections up on the way are normal. So, okay. I think that covers all of that with charting. And that puts us at 35 minutes. So what we need to do is dive into the excellent crypto news coverage that we always get, where we get ETF headlines all the time. India won't see crypto or Web3 bill for another 18 months. Oh no, scary. Cointelegraph. Crypto for criminals. JP Morgan has been fined $39 billion and has its own token. Bitcoin hodl waves 2020 bull market. Buyers now control 16% of the supply. Lawmakers' fear and doubt drives proposed crypto regulation in the U.S. Global policymakers are still pushing CBDCs despite their failure. Judge accepts Binance CEO CZ's guilty plea with sentencing in February. Hot stories. Where are my why is crypto up today, or why is Bitcoin down stuff? Those will come back. Elon Musk. Okay, AI. We're not going to do that, guys. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Cointelegraph. They desperately know that if you are in crypto, you're an AI tech investor. Like, just so if you think you're unique, let me tell you this, right? Isn't that interesting? I remember this when I was in high school. It's the first time anybody ever told it to me. And then the older I got, the more I realized that it's totally true. I was like a junior in high school, so 11th grade, and I was taking computer science, and he told our class, your whole life your parents have told you that you're special. I'm here to tell you that you're not. There's nothing special about you. You match a bunch of demographics, your behavior is predictable, and you do exactly what a bunch of other people do. There's nothing special about you. You may have unique characteristics that in a group of 100 people make you a little bit unique, but there's nothing special about you. I was like, dang, this guy, he's rude. And then as I got older and got into business school, you start learning about demographics, and you start learning about stuff and predictability, and you learn about advertising, and you learn, conversion rates. And if you target certain demographics of groups, they tend to behave at a certain percentage rates, right? And that's what testing advertising is, right? You know that if you target women between the age of 45 and 54 with a certain type of makeup, and they're going to, on average, click on your link 1% of the time, and those 1% of people who go through, on average, 25% of those people are going to end up converting. So then you do your math, right? So like you could, like, nothing is unique, right? And so if you are like a crypto guy, but then you're also an AI investor, all these companies have already done all this research to know that you are a very predictable person and you're not unique. So there you go. Jacob, you are wrong. I am unique just like everybody else. So, yeah, it is fun. When you look at data is a fun thing to look at. That there are other people out there exactly like you. Exactly. But there will never be another BCB. Nah, I'm sure there's some guy out there who likes coin roll hunting and then he likes crypto. And like, I'm predictable, right? I like silver and I like crypto. Oh, wow. You're so special and unique, aren't you? So, I mean, you know, we all fall into the bucket, right? Yeah, I'm just like I find myself zoned out when my wife is talking to me, right? How many people does that happen to? No, I'm unique. Oh, really? I do the same thing. I love my wife. Don't hurt me. All right, there we go. Moving on over to financial media. Jeez, all right, there you go. Now everybody's like, wait a minute. I came here to feel good and have fun. You just told me I'm not special. My mom lied to me my whole life. It's okay. It's okay. You're special and unique because you're here. You're supposed to be working right now. You're supposed to be swinging your hammer. You're supposed to be like doing like graphic design, or you're supposed to be like doing accounting. You're like, boo. But you're like hanging out with the crew and having fun. That makes you different than like, look around in your office. All those other people, they're like doing their stuff. They're like, yeah, I'm here. I'm working. And you're like, no. So you're special. You're like checking out of the system. Your boss doesn't even know. All right, what am I doing? All right, CNBC financial news says Dow futures fall after benchmark posts 3 losing days. Yeah, well, I think it has flipped green now. Let's check on it again one more time. No, it is the red. The Dow is now down 5 points. The S&P is up 20 points, and the Nasdaq's up 100. So up about 0.75% for the Nasdaq, 0.46% for the S&P, and down 0.01 for the Dow. I'd call the Dow a flat. Warner Brothers movies are going to set the tone for December. Okay. Abby vibe. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. More news. Elon Musk's SpaceX valued at $175 billion or more in tender offer. SpaceX colossal Starship sets pace in race to build larger rockets. I probably would have done a funding round, not right after you just blew up your rocket and your Starship. So that makes me think that they're in some type of financial trouble after blowing that thing up, and that they think they'll probably blow up a couple more and they need to do some funding. But I do find that an odd time to do like within a week after both fail and both blow up, that you're like, we're going to raise some money now. But I'm sure they will have zero problem raising money, right? Everybody loves Elon, and it's one of those things, kind of like when people were investing in GameStop, they were just doing it to say F the system, right? Yeah, sure, they wanted to get rich, but they also really wanted to blow up a hedge fund. I think investing in SpaceX probably had, and I don't even think any of us have opportunities to invest in SpaceX. These are the big boys who get to play in that playground. But people would be willing to buy SpaceX just to support saving of humanity. Just that idea, right? So yeah. All right, Ukraine funding fight stokes new fears over U.S. reliability. Stocks and bonds churn as BOJ rattles traders. Blackstone-backed Candle Media seeks debt help after deal binge. China's weak trade data signals more. Dude, we lost 300 people when I told them they weren't special. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's okay. Your spouse loves you. Your mom loves you. Your mom loves you in a way nobody else does. And for that, or your dad, or somebody, right? I get it. Not everybody has their mom. Everybody has their dad. But I don't have my dad. But somebody loves you very uniquely. And that makes you special because nobody is loved by that person like you are. Aww, BCB. All right. We're moving on. We are done being goofballs. We're going to hop into the chats and stuff like that right now as we are 44 minutes. Bitcoin, a little bit of recovery over here. We got a little bit more green over here in the crypto market as the day gets going. We're now about 40 minutes since the stock market has opened. And Bitcoin's now at 43,552. We have all market caps over there in the green. Let us el go. BCB Spanish lessons. Okay, hopping into the chat. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jane, new member, Jane N, welcome. Daniel Crone, member for 4 months. If the Dow Jones Industrial Average sets a new all-time high, wouldn't that most likely prolong this market until the end of 2024 with how much slower the stock market moves? You don't know, man. The timing predictions, good luck, right? I don't know. I'm not willing to guess that. But thank you. Joseph Dixon, new member. Welcome, brother. Jeff S. says, all I want for Christmas is fiat profits. But I thought we were all here because we're like checking out of the system, guys. Thank you, Jeff. Michael J. Love says, best way to support BCB is to hit the like button. That is correct. We're at 895. Again, this has been great. We've been like exceeding 1,000 before the stream is over. You guys have been doing fantastic. And it was so nice to see all of you lurkers yesterday. I want to thank you all for stepping out of the shadows and saying, hi, it is good to know you are there and you are real and you are special. All right, Spags, HBAR Dev is high. HBAR Dev is high. Did you buy it? Yeah, HBAR was one of the ones I did buy. I don't know what position it's in for my portfolio. I'll take a look. Where are you? Ranked number 5 or 6 in my portfolio. Wait, right? Yeah, it's up there. For sure. HBAR. The problem HBAR had, if you had gotten in prior to now, sorry for all the people who got in prior to like the last month, is that, or the last couple of months really, you had 46% inflation for so long. But recently the HBAR inflation rate has dropped and now it's down to 13%, which is like an okay inflation rate to have. So now they're in an okay inflation rate. So, if it sat down and like it had to take a whole year for something to happen with it now at this point, you're not going to get slaughtered just by inflation, right? Market conditions can do whatever they want. Market conditions can slaughter us. But when you have something that has an inflation rate of 46% annually, you're just getting slaughtered anyway. No matter what the market conditions are, you're getting just hammered and bent over. And that's what HBAR has been. But now the inflation rate's down to about 13% based on the last 6 months worth of data. So that means just like sitting there and holding it, you're not going to be getting slaughtered by it. What else does it have going for it? Even somehow, some way, even with the massive inflation rate, it still was able to maintain a less than 94% drawdown, which was fantastic. And then, of course, the development data is through the roof. So for sure, it was one of the ones that I did add quite a bit of. A lot. So, yeah. Thank you, Spags. Mike Pitry, 2112. BCB, what are your thoughts on Kusama? It had a huge run up in the last bull runs and huge drawdowns. Its affiliation to DOT is interesting. Like and subscribe. Yeah, I don't have an understanding of Kusama. That needs to be something on my list I need to do. Like, what is the very clear distinction and differentiation between DOT and Kusama, because they do share the same repository for a lot of their dev data. So glad you brought that up. I've been putting that on the back burner for too long. I need to really get a good grip on that relationship that they have. Not sure. Oscar Hernandez gifted a BCB membership. Oscar, thank you, sir. Oscar Hernandez says T. And that's it. Thank you, man. Andreas B says, "Hey BCB, enjoy your content for years. Thanks for your hard work. I hope your family is fine. Greetings from Hoo Hoo." Oh, greetings to Hoo Hoo. What's up with the drums in the fish tank? Okay, let's see. Let's address all of your things. All right, just because your comment was fantastic. Thank you for watching the show for so long. Thank you for the kind comments and the appreciation of the work. I appreciate it. Thank you for wishing my family is doing fine, which they are doing great. Greetings to Hoo Hoo. That does prove that you are here all the time if you know who Hoo Hoo is. Hoo Hoo is my daughter's little stuffed owl that went missing for 3 or 4 days, and the whole family was heartbroken over it. It's like losing your binky, losing your number one special thing. And we were all pretty much convinced that Hoo Hoo had made it into the trash can. And my daughter was having a very, very rough go at it. And not only was my daughter, but both my wife and I were too, because we knew how important that was. We knew the story of that. We knew when we got that for her when she was just really little, like 1 year old. And she's had it with her whole life and carried it with her everywhere. Turns out my wife, when she was changing the sheets for my daughter's bed, weird as could be, when she tucked a corner of the sheets underneath one of the sides of the bed, she also tucked Hoo Hoo underneath the mattress as well. When we lifted up that mattress, like we had searched the entire house, tore everything apart. And when we just took the long shot of where we knew there's no chance Hoo Hoo is underneath the mattress, but we looked anyway because we were that desperate, there was Hoo Hoo. Unbelievable. But yeah, Hoo Hoo is doing great. And then what's up with the drums? So the drums, I did file the warranty work on the snare. I sent the snare off. I got the snare back. The snare is hooked up. I played the drums yesterday, guys. So there we go. Trying to brush off that rust. But the drum set is back up and running. As for the fish tank is going well. I dealt with another parasite issue a couple of weeks ago. I had to do a treatment on the whole tank. That did stop the parasite from spreading. Things have been going good ever since then. So fish are all good, but I did lose quite a few there in that time period. So that tank has hundreds of fish in it at this point. I'm not sure how many I lost during that time, maybe 50, quite a bit. But it's hard to tell because there's so many fish in there, and they're guppies and mollies. But thank you. Mr. Nobody says, "Hey BCB, is that first pump arrow you drew on total wave 3 where you think it will hit wave 3? 618, do all coins typically pull back together?" The whole market tends to move back together. Everything tends to do it. There is the occasional times where there's a couple that go off and do their whole thing. But if you own a portfolio of 10 coins, very highly likely all 10 of them will pull back at the exact same time. And if it's not all 10, it would be 9, all of them doing it at the exact same time. As for a wave count, right? So I would think, yeah, probably this is your wave 1 with an ABC, right? And then this is wave 3. This would be wave 4. That would be wave 5. That would be the conclusion and the end of stuff for quite some time. Thank you, Mr. Nobody. Oscar. All right, what's up, dude? You said nice XRP chain yesterday. Gator added the necklace. If you're driving safely, pull over. If you're hammering, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're enjoying BCB's, don't forget to hit the like button if you're enjoying BCB's smooth, silky voice. Hi, how are you? I'm Blockchain Backer. Here to put you to sleep. Close your eyes. Think about the tips of your fingers and just rest them. Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know what you're talking about with a necklace, bro. Nice XRP chain yesterday. Gator added the necklace. I don't know what that is, man. If you are driving safely and pull over, or if you're hammering, don't forget to hit the like button. I think that's very important. Thank you very much, Oscar. And thank you, brother. Thank you. Dr. Ty says, you are not special. So hit the like button. Oh, I can't believe I said that. Look, it's the truth. I'm saying I'm not special either, right? Man, because once you realize you're not special, then the universe does not center around you anymore. And then you just like live in this moment of gratitude, and you just kind of like are like a butterfly throughout life. And it's okay. There doesn't have to be that super big pressure on you that the universe is literally revolving around you. It doesn't have to be that way. Just roll with it, man. Sit back, chill out. Is there a crashing structure on Bitcoin inverse chart? Yeah, let's look. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be kind of a rough one, but maybe. Again, a lot of time crashing structures are very difficult to recognize. Like even in the videos we put them out in, we talk about it many times. It's very difficult to spot them early. The fact that we were able to spot DXY early, that usually it's difficult to even spot them that early. It's usually not until right here that you spot them, right? So we were able to spot this one early, more so in like here, right? But many times you don't notice it until literally this moment, where we can say, well, there's 5 waves here. We've just gotten back up to the 4th. If it rejects here, then you have everything that you need. So many times you're not going to recognize it till literally this point. In this one, we were able to notice it in here. We noticed it in this move back right here. Said, hey, you know, these are the elements. What we look for is there another new low. If the new low comes, then we go back and hit that. That's crashing structure. But most times, hard pressed to be able to spot it that early. And even in the videos in here where we talk about it in depth, and BCB's crashing structure, it's even mentioned in there. You're going to be very hard pressed to notice it early. So if you're trying to trade it from the upside and say, hey, I'm going to sell before the crashing structure gets into place, that's not actually what the crashing structure is for. The crashing structure is more of an entry for entries to be made to say a crash has been completed, right? That you're going to buy a bottom. And that's what this is, even on others, right? You have 702 perfect hit. Not that that's part of it, but you have all elements of crashing structure that actually happen in here from 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? Rolls back up to wave 4 within wave 5 for 6. And then what do you get? 7. That's the completion of your crashing structure. What are we doing? We're working our way back up. That's normal. But what does happen in crashing structures, like the most normal thing to happen here, is we go back here and then it actually happens violently. Like a lot of times it happens very violently, and to not be fooled, it can get through here. It can even get up in here. And then wham, it does slam back down into these lows. So my bet is we do see these prices of this little range we're leaving right now, that there's a violent hit back to this level at some point. At some point, we come back and violently hit it. But most times it's very difficult to even notice these ahead of time. So like, what were we watching during this time? We didn't even notice it over here on others during this time, because what we were doing is we were looking over here. We were watching Wyckoff. We were just like, hey, look, this is Wyckoff happening over here on total 3 and total 2. We have perfect Wyckoff. Everything is great and gravy. But we also had it. Then it was like, well, wait a minute. To even add to that, we actually had a perfect crashing structure happen over here on others, which was just money, right? So brilliant. As for Bitcoin, looking at it from an inverse perspective, I'm not so sure I perfectly see it in there if we flip that thing upside down at this point. But if we started seeing like really clear waves get defined and then like a roll back up, like to wave, like we talked about, like where you really can start to identify them, where the 6th wave comes in to hit, and then we're like, okay, well then this would be the rejection, and then there's one more, and then it's over. So I don't see it yet, but maybe it'll get clearer later. And a lot of times that's what it takes. It's not until you actually get here that they become very clear. When we're trying to make sense of them in here, it can be very hard. But here is where it gets pretty defined. Which at the same time for Bitcoin is what we were doing up here, right? When we were back at the peak and nobody Everybody thought, this is stupid. This is dumb. But we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back to wave 4. Perfect. For 6 and 7, right? But this was the inverse perspective and thought to be insane at the time. But that's just right. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back to 4, 6, 7. Game over. But yeah, not so sure I see it here. Not so sure. I don't know if it would be that. I don't know if it would actually be that. I don't think it. I don't like what he's talking about is this. Do we see crashing structure here? And I don't think so. I don't think so. So you're probably putting your count like this, where you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're like 1, 2, 3, 4. I just don't. I don't think it is. Okay. All right. Blockchain lurker. My family came out of the shadows yesterday. I am the lurker. That's right. Ryan Feige is there. Blockchain lurker. Member for 40 months. How is that even possible? I would have to say, I don't think anybody has been a member longer than 40 months. I think you own the title. I didn't even know it was possible to be more than 37 or 38, but 40. Thank you, sir. And yes, the official lurker. Cryptology, BCB, last cycle, total 3 had the slam back to support November 20th to December 20th, just from above the 336. But the cycle, that similar area is 702 at 740 billion. Slam back to support from the 702, then new highs. Well, that's theory, right? So I'm being theoretical right here. This is what I would imagine is the most bullish scenario. We'll have to watch it and see how things go at the time. But this is how I could imagine it playing out now. But not to be fooled for crazies out there. Total 3s. So I'm pretty. I mean, I don't think you're saying anything different than what I'm talking about here, but you're talking about total 3. I'm not quite sure how high. Let's see where the total 3 actual. It's a little different, right? So total 3 is going to include stable coins in it, right? So that's going to be the challenge with using this particular index real closely, because how much, what is the supply of stable coins right now? And Tether is 90 billion. USDC is 24. So that's 114 billion. That's really it, right? We'll add that. And since we got a remainder in there, put it at about $120 billion is the stablecoin market. It's definitely a little bit more than that, but you already know that stablecoins represent 120 billion of that 432. So a little bit more challenging on that because there's that element included in total 3. But you don't have that element included over here in others. So just kind of keeping an eye on that. And these are things where we find confluence in markets, right? Do we see others hit the 702 and then Bitcoin hits the $1 trillion market cap, which is the 702 of its market cap? Do we see something else happening over in the stock market at the same time? Do we see the DXY hitting a bottom at the same time? Are there confluence factors happening in multiple places that would indicate some type of liquidation event is coming and the steam has run out? That's something to consider. But total 3 a little bit more difficult, just due to those elements and like picking an exact number. But thank you, Cryptology. Weaver's son, any thoughts on Xpunks literally going to the moon? I guess a digital museum will be launched by SpaceX January 12th. Sorry, I always talk about NFTs. I don't care. We can talk about NFTs. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so I mean, the Xpunks guys, first of all, I do own an Xpunk. I do own a Unix Punk. I don't know. I think they're like 700 XRP or something. So it's nothing crazy, but I'm also not paid by them or anything like that. And I don't care. Like, if it doesn't do well, it doesn't do well. It's life. But fill them back. Thanks, man. All right, let me answer this question. I got to get to that guy. I don't know. I mean, it's good marketing, I guess, right? I mean, I don't know if it really means, does it mean anything, right? And first of all, I love those guys, right? I know those guys. I've met them in person multiple times. So it's not, good for them. I hope they do really well. And I really hope that the NFT market comes back and that XRP can shine on it. I hope we can. The thing I really wish for the community, the thing that I wish for the most for the XRP community and the XRP, the asset, is the focus on development and growth and ecosystem building and participation. Oh, you guys, it did it. We set the alert and it did it. Ding, ding, ding. There goes Monero. I took a whole year to get through the retracement levels. There it goes. I'm not saying like Monero is a buy in any way, but what we were looking for is some confluence to emerge there. So we've seen a Kraken. Let's see what it looks like over there on Binance. We talked about this in the first part of the video. Not on Binance. So still waiting on Binance. Oh, here we go. It's trying. It is trying, oh. So I hope that for XRP that we do see a shift in focus and culture on participating in the network, building on the network, doing cool things on the network, and move away from the conspiracy aspect of it with the ISO 20022 peg to gold, CBDCs, secret ledgers, quantum financial systems, all the money. Ripple's going to take over the universe. That stuff has gotten us nowhere. Literally nowhere. Nowhere. So I hope as a community, we want to participate and encourage others to participate. As a community, we do have a tendency to attack other communities and attack public figures on social media. It does make a fool out of us. And they are very public about how rude and crude we are as a community on social media, that we look like crazy people. And we have to improve that. So ETH is pumping, they said. Ethereum is pumping. 23.12 for Ethereum. I thought I had Ethereum open over here. Where'd you go? I must have swapped you. The pump. I don't think it's just Bitcoin, Ethereum. So that'll be very interesting if we caught that dynamic live on Markets in the Morning after talking about it in the beginning. That, hey, there was something interesting on Monero of an entire range being stuck here for a year. And then if this was the marking point to have that break, and if Ethereum breaks, and if others breaks, in total 3, and everything, and it all gets crazy for the next 48 hours or something to see that there was that linkage there of ranges being stuck throughout the market. And so, unfortunately, we talked about all of it live, and then we started to see some action. And now we can find out if it was right. So, la tomorrow. I'm going to stop with that. It's stupid. It's dumb. Okay. BCB, is PTW not special? Dude, what are you doing, bro? Okay, hold on. I'll get back to you. Axie Wells, with just a super chat, but very generous super chat. I meant to say just a super sticker with a very generous super chat. No message that was left there. Very kind. Thank you very much, Axie. Oscar Hernandez, I'm putting you in timeout for 5 minutes. Where are you? How do I do this? Put user in timeout. All right, there you go. Oscar, you're in timeout, sir. He says, BCB, is PTW not special? All right. Okay. Terrence Rafferty. I wanted to be special until I almost got onto this short bus. XRP to 589. Let's go. Thank you, Terrence. Fill them bags. Gives 20 BCB memberships, man. I know. Watch not Oscar Hernandez and not Oscar Hernandez and the waitress of Oscar Hernandez come out and defend him. That takes some balls on my side too. Oscar's like my number one supporter. He's like the number one guy. All right. Here's the problem. I don't know how to take him out of timeout. I don't. How do I untime you out? I don't know how to do it. Is it just for 5 minutes? I don't know how long it lasts. Just so you guys know, I never put any of you in timeout when you get in trouble. That is my wonderful mods, including Oscar, taking care of business for me. So I don't know what I don't know what to do. He has to wait 5 minutes. Okay. Oh no, Oscar Hernandez's favorite waitress says no service for BCB. Okay. Fill them bags. 20 BCB memberships handed out to the chat. Thank you very much, guys. And always remember to thank those people who do that. It says, hey, BCB, would timing the others with a whole portfolio be crazy? Is there a layering strategy that would make sense without losing the massive pump? Wait, what? Would timing the others with a whole portfolio be crazy? Is there a layering strategy that would make sense without losing the massive pump? Well, for me, I just do things in small bits. It's to each their own on how they want to do it. And doing things in small bits, you also risk you don't get everything out that you wanted to get out. You also have little parts of it that don't make it all the way. But for the most part, most of the bag makes it all the way. So I do little bits and pieces, and that's really how I've always been. When I do entries, I'm doing little bits and pieces, and when I'm doing exits, I'm doing little bits and pieces. And that is more from also years of experience, and that also does help keep me emotionally stable. I can tell you when Bitcoin got above 40K, just that in general, it did start to create a little bit of stress in me, and I knew it was time. I got to start taking a little bit off here. We're back into the exact levels where I'm I'm getting way too uncertain on Bitcoin's levels. You guys know that once we got to 38, 40, 42, the highest I can imagine is going is 52, right? Maybe it blasts through that, right? But the highest I can imagine is 52. And having, scooped it all up during my pastor at my church, telling the entire congregation, better not invest in the cryptocurrency FTX. You look how that turned out. And the whole church just laughs, knowing that's the bottom. You're laughing, you're a fool. Buy it. That's it. It can't get any worse than this. Everybody knows not to buy. Everybody buy it now. To survive through that, to make it all the way up from 15K, 16K, and then getting to these levels, I knew it was time for me to start taking a little bit off the table. And that also goes with years of experience of knowing that, and not being if I doing the math, the worst thing you do is do the math and be if I didn't take the little bit off the table and I would have left it in there, then it would have been up another 4%. And now I wish I had done it. Oh man. Once you can take the pressure off of yourself to know, and you guys know it, a lot of times I get very close to tops. I get very close to bottoms, but I know I can't get a 100% hit rate on getting that close. And I also know I am not going to get the literal top, and I'm not going to get the literal bottom. I know that, and I can take that pressure off of myself, and it makes it easier. If you go into it thinking you are going to be the guy who buys this right here, that exact moment, and you're the guy who sells that exact moment, guess what? You're not. Take the pressure off yourself. And so for me, it's just, it is little bits and chunks when we get to areas that I think are of concern. So, my average, on the Bitcoin that I bought during the FTX collapse, and as we get back up here in the 40s, my average is not going to be 52K because I don't know if it's going to get there, right? Like it's probably going to end up being somewhere in like 45, 46, 47K is the average exit that I did on the Bitcoin, so long as it gets that high, right? If not, if it tops out here at 44 or whatever, then my average was like 41.5K. 41, ridden it from 16K, where the bottom was 15.5, to 41.5 when the top was 44. It's like you practically nailed it, right? But it won't be perfect, and and I don't put that pressure on myself for it to be. Oh, hey BCB. Oh, I'm responding to you. There you go. It's up to you, man. So you got to figure out where your emotions can chill out. That's really part of it. That's a lot of it. D-Bro, member for new months, but I do think that others will give us a sign, if that's what you're also asking. Will others give us a clue that things are coming to a conclusion? I would think so. D-Bro, member for new member, welcome, D-Bro. Good to have you on board. Dr. Ty 168 says free Oscar merch coming out in spring of 2024. Oh man, we're gonna make a social media campaign out of it now. Oh no, he's free. I see him in the chat. Free at last. Free at last. There he is, guys. He's back. He's back. Okay, there we go. And yes, PTW is very special. The most unique person I've ever met. All right, guys, we've made it to the conclusion of this nonsense. I want to thank you all for tuning. Then Oscar gives 5 BCB memberships. He knows that it was all in good fun. All right, cool. Thank you, Oscar. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. We've got a lot of green over here in the board. It looks like things are turning around, and LFG, that just so happens to occur when the thing we talked about earlier. Like I said, I'm not saying go buy Monero. I was just looking at this as a confluence signal that this was something stuck in a year range underneath a 786. And we pointed out, and we happened to actually catch it live breaking from there, and then whoop, green all throughout the market. So we'll take it. I hope that you guys all have an absolutely wonderful day. Of course, if you're looking for something absolutely fantastic to do and to just have a wonderful day with BCB videos, you could do that over here on bcbacker.com with over 40 videos and 11 hours of content, $39 one time, no recurring fees. Absolutely wonderful day for you. Of course, you could check out the newsletter over here, which comes with audio recordings for all of the newsletters where I explain these and read through them here with my, as Oscar calls it, silky smooth voice. Of course, that's a term I didn't come up with. But yeah, there's those over there. The most recent ones have really been focusing on the altcoin development data, the percentage drawdowns, and those inflation rates of circulating supply and how those all impacted the probabilities of better performance back in 2021, which there absolutely was. As you all know, 2021 was a very different year from 2017. Only 2 out of every 10 altcoins did anything meaningful in there. However, a lot of this data did point to the ones that actually did better ahead of time. So that's what we go through in these last 3 newsletters, this series in here. Of course, that's not what the newsletter is always going to be. This has just been kind of a topic we've been really harping on lately. The most recent one was put out there just a few days ago on November 30th, focusing on circulating supply inflation rates. Like we talked about today, somebody was asking about HBAR, and I talked about it going from 46% down to 13% and how that's much better. You can check this out over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. Posting a link over here in the chat currently right now. Of course, bcbacker.com is where you can get all the videos as well. All of these, of course, should just include recordings from me if you'd like to support the channel and if you'd like more stuff from me. Now, this is where you can get it. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, guys. $43,800 on Bitcoin. A nice turnaround over here in the crypto market. And we got green. Hey. All right. That's it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Oscar, I love you. You know that. Don't get me in trouble. All right, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.